So when you woke up at 14, 15, I mean, what was the epiphany where you said, I don't want to bust tables. I don't want to work in a restaurant as a waiter. I don't want to go cut lawns or throw newspapers. I want to get involved with social media.
Totally. It's funny. So it's that, talking about busting tables, that was literally like, quote unquote, my direction. Of both my brothers did that for 2-3 years. And I was like, they had a great relationship with their manager, and they're like, hey, if you ever want to come bust a table, like, feel free. And I was about to turn 16. I was 15 at the time, and I did not want to do that. Like, I've always enjoyed like little side hustles. Like when it snowed in our neighborhood, the entire street, I would shovel their driveway, but then I would bring 3 of my friends, get them to do it, and just like kind of build these teams. And just, I love that sort of stuff where it's like, I got to make my own hours. I got to control what's happening, but overall, like I wasn't dependent on like someone else, right? So, but the mental transition for me came from an injury through football, and I've always been an athlete my entire life. Played hockey for 10 years. That was my entire like focus growing up, is just how can I be a part of a team? How can I excel in this sport? And I've always loved the team aspect of just like, I've never been an individual sport athlete. It's always been hockey where you're working with a team. And then I played lacrosse, and then eventually loved football. And that was my passion for a good 4 years going into high school. And when I was 15, training for like 6 months, getting ready for the season. I was like the smallest guy on the team, but I was quick, and that was my thing. But it was like the first day of hitting practice. My helmet wasn't on right or whatever, and I ended up getting a massive neck injury where I was diagnosed with interspinous ligament damage, put into a neck brace for 25 weeks. And it was that day where I went to get x-rays after this just massive, like, head hit the ground, neck was massively in pain, that they're like, hey, you can never play football again. And it was that moment where I knew that I not only had to do something different, but I had to discover like what I wanted to do outside of sports, and necessarily, because they pretty much told me, hey, like, this is something where if you do want to go play sports, you have the opportunity to potentially get paralyzed. And that was something that just very hit me deeply. And I remember during those 25 weeks, and it was throughout the summer, that all my friends are going out, they're having a good time. It's the summer, they're going to the pool, and I'm just literally at home on bed rest, and I have to sleep in my neck brace. I have to go the entire day in a neck brace, and it was just the most just depressing thing for me, because everything I love, just moving around, shooting basketball, just being active, I just couldn't do that anymore for a good half a year. And it was during that transition of 25 weeks that I couldn't move around that I started to think more. I started to understand, like, all right, if I can't do this, like, what is that gap of time where I would usually be going out? I wasn't the type of kid that just likes to stand still, you know? So I remember at the time I was doing nothing on social media business-wise. And obviously at like 15, I was on Instagram and Facebook, but I never like saw it as an opportunity to build something from that or meet people or just completely change my life, right? But one time I was just on YouTube watching just whatever videos I was watching, and I kept seeing this ad pop up. Ty Lopez, he was talking about health, wealth, love, and happiness, and he was just talking about social media marketing and just different philosophies that I've never heard before. And at the time, I wasn't someone that loved reading. I didn't pick up a book for the heck of it and said, hey, I'm gonna go read today for 30 minutes, right? Like, that was not my mentality. And then I ended up buying one of his like $60 courses, and it was about how to have the good life, like I said, health, wealth, love, and happiness. And ended up getting to this course, and all he said was, hey, give me 67 days, it's called the 67 steps, and watch a video a day and just take notes throughout this. And I kind of took that as opportunity, as just that filling that gap of time where I would be going out, might as well and watch these videos and take some notes. And it was something I was just curious about. But long story short, he was very much so my mentor, just unwillingly led me into the direction of this whole entrepreneurial business scene on social media. And that was definitely, like you said, the pivot point for me that I didn't know where it was going to lead to at the time. I had no intention of massively building a brand or doing social media stuff or whatever it is that I'm doing today. It was just that step in the right direction that, looking back, I can now recognize that. But at the time, I didn't see it as such a clear opportunity as I see it now.
So there's 3 specific things I heard you say. And I think for people that are listening to you, the first thing is, when you were very young, you learn the power of scale. Having 3 people help you shovel snow, you get the contracts, you make them do the work, and you get paid by the power of 3.
Yep.
So you learn the whole idea of scale. Second thing I heard you talk about was that sometimes it's the things you don't expect. Because had you not had that white space, you probably wouldn't have had the time being busy playing football or sports
Yeah.
to actually be able to dedicate yourself to doing something that you didn't think you might be doing.
Totally.
So having that white space and creating it intentionally versus through an injury is something I heard you say that people should spend, actively spend time on, because it helps them shape their thinking. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing is how you found your mentor. People get confused. I do a lot of talks on mentors, but what I heard you say is you don't necessarily need to know your mentor, but you need to find a mentor.
Totally.
And then you need to learn from what they have to teach.